Hello everybody, Crouton Wave here. We're going to get into a little more about the whole menu organization type topic. We talk a lot about where your weapons should be, why they should be there, how an effective or a well-organized weapon menu can affect your gameplay in a very substantial way with many different forms of play styles. So this will be a very rough guide on menu organization. The first thing we'll discuss is actually working on your menus in the first place. What I recommend from the start is there is an organized storage box feature in every single Souls game, where you can store the things that you don't need at the current moment. And generally what I like to do is I like to put everything in there right off the bat when it comes to weapon menus. So every single weapon that I've gained over the game, the course of the game, every single weapon that I've picked up, got from a boss, dropped, whatnot, upgraded to max 10, meaning the max level it could possibly be, labeled right here, should all go in this box. Then, after I've got that all sorted, what I'll do is I'll go into the box and I'll pick the things I like and I'll move them over to my actual inventory. Usually you want to start with your weapons first because those are labeled first. So first we'll start with our actual weapons. So it's going to be pretty similar to what my menu already is because most of these weapons are things I already have and own. Like I said before, this is how I personally do my menus and how they work in my gameplay and how I use them effectively. Everything on the top will just be in the dagger category, in the knife category, because those are either used for crits, meaning critical attacks after a riposte, getting that extra damage after getting a parry or a backstab. You'll have other things such as like a harp, which is a little bit of a defensive tool for players who are using things that are a little bit too cheesy or running away too much. So it's an effective chase down tool, an effective balancing tool when a player is playing a little scummy or a little too tryhardy in a sense. And then I like to put a healing harp as well, just because at the same time as I'm running around, my blessed harp will heal me consecutively. And then love to have a Corvian Great Knife. It's pressure, its reach, everything about it is perfect. So we'll add those here. All of these ones that I like to use will be right here. All of your knives should be at the top. This is how I'll layer it. So for now, it'll be the straight sword category next. You'll see I have a set amount of straight swords labeled already. What I'll do is I'll do the same thing as my knives because there's not really much of a purpose of adding too many straight swords. The reason why we'll have an entire row of this is it's strictly a neutral weapon. We'll put in that Lothric, the 2 Morion blades I have, the Ring Knight, which is my specialty. That's what I'm trying to get good at. And then we'll put in some Goddards. All effective straight swords in their own different ways. And for right now, we'll discuss placement of where they're going, and then afterwards I'll explain why they're there, just to make that a little more clear. Right after that, what I like to do is have a greatsword, ultra greatsword category. So this third row will be all my ultra greatswords, greatswords / ultra greatswords. As you see, I also like to add this greatsword right here just for some swap potential because it has a very good weapon art that allows for extra damage. Next is I'm slowly organizing my bubble in a sense, so the things where it's not just straight swords, it's a lot of other different categories of weapons. So for instance, as you can see with the things I have remaining, it's primarily curved swords labeled here. Pontiff is a good example. Rapiers, Estoc's a good example. Katanas, Frayed Blade, Great Axe, and my twin axes. So I'm trying to incorporate the rest of these remaining things into my build. And these are more individualized, so I don't need a row of them because this won't be my neutral play. This will primarily be swapping to this to create an option for pressure or any sort of issue that happens during the invasion or duel. For right now, we will go with what I usually do, so follow saber, a curved sword. I like having an Estoc. Definitely like having my twin axes, and then I'll put just a Black Knight Great Axe. I'll explain that later. My tailbone spear, my lance, this, and then I'll keep my 2 Gundyrs just for the time being. It's not something I normally like to do, but I'll do it for the time being for sure. Okay, then we'll add this to it. So now to discuss why these are the way they are, at least for my weapon categories. So again, right above, you'll see daggers. Normally you want a Chaos Infused dagger to essentially do as much crit as possible. You're going to have things like, again, like I said with the harp, to apply pressure, a healing harp to apply pressure and heal yourself in case you're low, a Corvian Great Knife to apply even more pressure because that thing's deadly. And I like to have a duplicate of the crit knife just in the actual, in a non-crit infusion. So for this case I have dexterity, just so it's actually doing some real damage, because if you're not scaled to do fire damage or chaos damage, it's not really going to benefit you at all. Secondly, as you see, we have our list of straight swords labeled right here. Essentially what I like to do is these two are my neutral play. So you guys see me using the RKSS cancel, or the Ring Knight Straight Sword cancel, and then I'll go to Goddard's if I don't want to use that, which is a normal neutral sword. However, for these other three, these are primarily riposte tools. So as you can see, if this animation is done, it'll break the person's shield, go through their stamina, and then it'll allow me to go in for a kill, for a riposte, which then can be done by the fire dagger if I'm placed it properly, or my chaos dagger. Third, or the next point, is another set of a row of very neutral things, except this category is not used as you'd think it would. Normally there's no, at least for me, there's no sense in going neutral with this. It just takes too much time. It's not my preferred play style. However, what it is used for is animation swapping, which, as you've probably seen in my footage, there are moments of me animation swapping on people and it doing very effective damage. The idea is that any weapon in the game, any weapon in your category, it does not matter what it is, has a window where when you swing the weapon and go into the menu screen, it will be gray. As you see, completely grayed out. Completely grayed out. Meaning I can't go and change my weapon. However, if you time it properly, and every single weapon is different, you're really able to switch your weapon quickly enough to keep the animation of that weapon. So if I swing, change quickly, you'll see that I'm just doing the animation for the sword normally. When, if I re-equip it, this is the normal R1. Again, that can be done with any weapon in your inventory, meaning if we're using a knife, this is even faster. This is the fastest way to do it. Swing a knife, you quickly switch. You'll see it's very effective. Try it one more time. So, some say it's broken, some players just aren't good. But this is a very fun way to play, and it's very skillful. It does require a lot of timing understanding, especially when it comes to frames, and it does have a pretty high skill gap. However, if you're able to pull it off, you'll see that it's a substantial difference in your gameplay and the amount of pressure you're able to provide on a person. Anyways, so that's what's going on with this area right here, essentially, is swapping to these weapons to give me the most damage output in any sort of weapon animation. Now, next, you'll see in this menu, I've talked previously about there being a bubble of things that are just fun things to use and completely situational. And this is exactly what that is. Excluding the two Gundyrs, which usually I have one, and it's another very fun type of weapon right here. This essentially is your bubble. I'll have two curved swords that do different things. I'll have an S-stock for a single target pressure, twin axes to take out a large target quickly, because these two-handed strikes, especially lightning infused, do a lot of damage. Next, you'll see things like the great axe. This is actually just another swap potential thing. So if I'm able to do it, oh, I missed. But if I'm able to do it properly, you'll see it's just a nice big great axe to swing. It really can be done with anything, even Gundyrs. Again, but this is for buffing. Obviously, you get a nice Lothric buff. This is for pushing targets off a cliff, and this is just for neutral play, fun neutral play. Now, if we go back in, we'll do a little more menu updating. Now we're looking at short bows, things with the swords. For me, for the time being, these are the things I put in. All of these 3D crossbows do little different things for me. If I want to put in more damage, I'll use an Arbalist, which does the most amount of damage. If I need chip damage because someone is using a shield, I'll use a Knight's Crossbow. And lastly, if I just need the equip load and I need something light, I'll use a Light Crossbow. Millwood, great bow for memes, meaning it's primarily just to shoot people off a cliff, or just to fuck around in a gank situation where my teammate is pressuring them and I'm able just to shoot them on the side. And then a short bow for Estus refilling in case we see people who generally don't like to play by the rules. Oh, first let's equip these. Again, same thing in this category. This is more of your staves for sorceries, your chimes for incantations, things of the sorts, your pyromancy flames, those things. Those will go in as well. We're seeing the priest's chime just for Tears of Denial, which allows me to essentially cast a spell that when I'm put down to 1 HP, completely killed, I can have a point of HP left to keep myself alive. And then Pyromancy's Parting Flame for, again, Estus Glitch, if we see people doing it back. Next, we're going to look at shields. So my shield options are pretty small, and it's still an effective way. Yeah, I think you need too many shields, but for me, I have one particular parry shield for the riposte, meaning more crits from a fire dagger. A Blessed Warrior shield, just for healing. This is a neutral shield, so any animation or weapon art that goes into any of my weapons can be done still if I have this shield equipped. And then this one will heal me, this one will give me mana back slowly. Both of these are very slow status effects. A Black Knight shield for ultimate protection, essentially 100% absorption, so I can tank a hit. This is on me at all times. This has never gone off my inventory. An Ethereal Oak shield, just for healing status the same way, but it's also 100% absorption shield. So we'll add all those back into the inventory. Essentially, this gives you a good basis of everything that's in your menu, but the reasons why they're there, why they're effective. Another big reason, a thing I want to talk about, especially with weapon placement, it's completely dependent on if you're on mouse and keyboard or controller. Say, for instance, I'm strictly using mouse and keyboard, so a lot of these swaps are completely manageable. A lot of these weapon animation swaps, a lot of swapping to a Gundyr, swapping to anything I want on the fly, are very manageable because I have a mouse, a cursor, as you can see. So how I've placed my menu is that the things I want most of the time are very close to where my mouse pops up when it starts. So here's my mouse right here, right? So when I open up my menu, I'm clicking E twice to go into my weapon menu. What's closer if I move my mouse to the side? Is it going to be this sword that's right here? Or is it going to be the one all the way over here? If you're on mouse and keyboard, treat these two columns like your primary tools, because those are the things you're going to go to the fastest. And treat things like, things that you'll go to slower, more neutral playing things, farther to the left, because you'll reach that less. It's a little different when it comes to fire daggers, because your primary dagger and your crit dagger will always be placed there. There's nothing you can do about it, so you'll have to be very quick to get to that point, make it there. But essentially, this is the way to do it on mouse and keyboard. If we're talking about controller, what I would recommend if I could, essentially I would make my neutral weapon possibly right here, right? Put my primary weapon that I'm using most of the time, being my Ring Knight Straight Sword, right here. And then essentially I would make this sort of cross section locations to where I can choose a weapon. Primarily when you're menu swapping on a controller, it's with your D-pad. So you're pressing the pause button, you're going into your menu, and you're using your D-pad to select what you want to use, similar to a cursor. So you want to make that the most effective for you, and even if it's easier, make this build a lot smaller. Make the menu decrease in size, because it's a lot more effective if your Gundyr is right here, because then you only have to move 2 spaces, than it is to move it all the way down here and all the way to the right. That's going to take a while, and that's going to reduce how quickly your gameplay and your pressure will become. So essentially is the basics. I'll show you a little bit more on how this build works through some Wextus gameplay and understanding on what I mean by where I place my weapons and how it affects my builds, or how it affects my gameplay. You'll see this right after this. Please enjoy the footage, like, subscribe, and give a comment. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Oh, interesting. This is actual Pontiff. That's super interesting. It's real life Pontiff. So we're gonna show a little bit of footage of I recently made a video on the idea of essentially showing how menus work and what you can do with these menus. So this will be a display of most of that. Are we lagging or something? So again, if you see my menu as I'm fighting this guy, popping out the Gundyr right there, I know exactly where it is every moment. There's an example of that. You don't want to go over there, my friend. Yeah, don't go over there. You don't want to go over there. You. This is a great display. Oh my gosh, this is kind of hilarious. Yeah, you deserve food. So that wasn't a very verbal display of what's going on in this sort of situation, but it's like I explained before. You're popping out the combo with the knife when you can, giving yourself a little bit of spacing, essentially. Gotta stop saying essentially. Giving yourself a little bit of spacing to perform that quick little swap, as we see in that gameplay. While also primarily being able to find your Gundyr or a weapon art that you can pop out with a lot of poise, and then sticking to this neutral play when I can. You're always pretty glued to your neutral play. Like, the things that you show off, like if you see in every single point of that, I've always switched back to Ring Knight Straight Sword. There's never really an instance where that's not my neutral weapon. If I want to play differently, I'll put these on, but... which is exciting. I'm excited for that. Interesting. Oh, there he is. Do you think he just didn't see me? There's so many of these little goblins running around. Where do you think you're going, bro? Are you seriously trying to run away from me? Yo. Whoa, whoa, cool it with the swinging, bro. Solo hosts at their finest. Oh my gosh. Oh my god, what is this guy? What is this guy doing? Huh? You're crazy. Oh, I fucked up! Not enough mana. That sucks. Wow! Oh my gosh, there was so much swapping there. Giving you ideas of what I'm doing, or at least explaining what I'm doing in the current moment. I struggle with that. Oh, not here. Okay. They must be over near the bonfire. Let's check. We see Madeira over there, so they're definitely inside. I like having my bow out in this section, just in case there's instances where they could be down there. Or if they're just inside, just because they're kind of scared of Madeira a lot of the time, they'd never really want to leave. Madeira being the giant dragon over there. Just make that clear. Ooh, this is where I got my clip last time. This is my favorite area to be. Oof. I fucked up. She's gotta be around the corner somewhere soon enough. Run away! Oh my god, it scared me so bad. I thought they were gonna get me, bro. Oh. That was a good snipe, though. Can we snipe him? What are they gonna do now? Like, there's not really much they can do. But now they got Mateer on me. Oh my gosh, get shit on! Look at that, look at that. What are you gonna do now, huh? Oh my gosh, that's right. Thank you, Mateer. Oh my gosh, I appreciate you. Thank you, you lovely purple dragon. I'll never talk in your name in vain, ever again. Oh, you're amazing.